But if you've been struggling with Facebook ads and if you've been struggling to sell your offer, sit down and do this one time really, really sophisticatedly. In today's video, we are going to create a killer Facebook ad using the new image generation of ChatGPT. Hi there, my name is Evelyn Weiss. I spent over 1.5 million on Facebook ads for my own business, grew it to over 7 million in sales, over 66,000 customers, over 33,000 paid subscribers. And in this video, I want to take you behind the scenes and show you my full process that I currently use to create better ads with ChatGPT. Before we dive right in, I want to quickly clarify why I haven't made a video about how to use ChatGPT to write your ads before, although ChatGPT has been around for years. So I've been helping thousands of coaches, course creators, online membership owners, school community owners with their Facebook ads, and I have been hating ChatGPT for the simple reason that it took the thinking out of writing their ads even more. And so already before ChatGPT, my students, most of the people that came into my world and were seeking my help, they were actually struggling because they didn't spend enough time when creating their ads to really think through what is the message that I want to convey? What are different angles that I can present my offer in? Who do I truly want to reach with this? And so they would typically use, either a cookie cutter template or one of my templates, or copy a competitor's ad and basically just put it out there and then wonder why either there were no conversions or somewhere later in the funnel a disconnect, for example, between expectations and reality. I really did not encourage my members too much to use ChatGPT, but I kind of want to give a second shot at it because the image generation just got so good. If you haven't seen it yet, it's crazy what you can create, right? Perfect images with text on it. That used to be a big struggle, right? You could not have any words on them, all kinds of styles that you want. You can prompt it really, really well, right? So it's almost like you can edit images with ChatGPT, and you can be very, very consistent in your character style. So this is a huge game changer. What I brought you today is a mirror board, and this is in preparation to an upcoming workshop that I have. And the ad that I create here as an example is also for that upcoming workshop. So you can kind of follow along in real time for how I'm creating the type of ads that I'm also running and, spending hundreds of dollars a day on right now. All right, so this process basically starts with defining the opportunity, then a starter target audience, then basically identifying underlying problems. And this is where we're going to spend a lot of time to really understand the problems. From the problems, we're going to create distinct high motivation buying personas that have inherent sense of urgency, as in why they want our solution. So we don't have to fiddle around with fake urgency or any of that. Then we're going to create our ad angle and ultimately our ad and copy from that. I don't want to reveal too much right now. All right, so you can screenshot this along and also use the prompts. Here below those specific elements, I have my prompts. So if you want to use them, just take a screenshot. And if you're in the membership in Grow with Evelyn or in the upcoming workshop, you'll get all of that and more. But this is definitely everything you need to get to the outcome that I have for you in the video, which is a killer ad, visual and copy. And I also have the complete setup for you. Okay, so the first starting point is that we need to define what is the opportunity. And so I want to walk you through this, basically sharing the mirror board and the actual chat, right? So first we define the opportunity. When we're opening up a new chat, we need to let ChatGPT know this is our opportunity. I briefed it. This is my opportunity. Write your ads with ChatGPT workshop, copy plus image generation, free for 48 hours, $3 replay pre-sale, $9 price increase after. Then the next briefing element that we need to give it is what's our rough target audience? And this is something I see so commonly. People write their ad copy with ChatGPT without clearly defining the target audience. And the outcome, the ad copy itself, is just so off market. Like it's so, over the head of the audience, or it's so superficial that it basically doesn't say anything, right? So this is also, we want to always start by identifying our target audience. So mine is coaches, course creators, personal brand, online educators, content creators, school community owners. Now, the next prompt is the third step here, which is understanding what specific problems are solved in a new way. So the prompt is, please answer me in the chat, because I hate that pop-up window. What 50 specific problems does this solve in a new way? Be concrete, tangible, and relatable, and base it on their everyday experience. Okay, and then it will give you a list of general problems. So for example, here, the problems that it solved is ideas and messaging struggles, like I don't know what to say in my ads, image and visual struggles, I never know what image to pair with my ads, offer strategy, yada, 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 right? So it gives like a baseline of this. And at this point in time, I just kind of roughly read through it, but I don't spend too much time because I first want to prime the chat and basically get to a certain level of meaningful output. So what I do after is I basically start to break down sub-problems in the following containers, right? So the first container that I have is the broadest audience possible, because right now from the typical output will be too close to your actual solution, right? So the next prompt is, thank you. Now please rethink this to have 50 problems that are so distinct, obvious, clear, and painful that they appeal to the broadest audience possible within my target audience of coaches, course creators, etc. Right? So you always have to remind it of that, because otherwise it just goes into completely different directions, right? And it just goes into this typical marketing speak that often is not compliant and also not compelling. All right, so then it gives more problems that are broader but within this realm. So clarity problems, I don't know what to say or how to say it, with all of the sub-problems that they have. Writing problems, I hate writing or I'm not good at it. My ads look like everyone else, right? And so it basically gives you more angles on what problem are we actually solving. Once we have that, I like to, again, just copy the broadest angles possible in a document, right? So I just have Word docs, the link for myself, and then I go to the next. So next we want to think of sub-audiences within our target audience. So this prompt is, now please think of the sub-audiences within the broadest audience possible. Please list their top 10 pains related to this workshop, 50 each. Now you can see new coaches and personal brands, 0 to 2 year in business, right? They still building confidence, clarity, and consistent income. I don't know how to make strangers care about my work. Really, really good ones here. So there's also, distinct problems that it solves that are all true for my workshop. I struggle to explain what's inside in a way that hooks people. So there's a lot of sub-messaging gold that can be found. Again, I'll just skim over it and I quickly will proceed to the next one, which is psychographic sub-audiences, right? So the next one is, now please build sub-audiences based on psychographics. Please list their top 10 pain points related to this workshop, 50 each. Then we have the overthinker perfectionist, right? I spend hours tweaking tiny phrases and feel unsure. I write ads but never feel ready to post. I have a lot of people, who are like, I've been sitting on these ads like for months. I know I need to launch them, but I just don't feel convinced about the ads. So this is where typically you should really start, especially if you worked with clients, right? And the more clients you work with, the truer this is. This is when you should start to see real patterns emerging, as in, oh yeah, I know a person that is like this, or oh yeah, top of mind, like immediately can think of a member or of a client that is like this. So this is kind of where it gets really, really close to how your people are. But if we start with this, it will not be able to get to this good of outcome, right? So this is why we're basically working our way up to those layers. DIY bootstrappers, solo entrepreneurs. So all of these are definitely people that I already see in my audience. We want to take this a step further. Again, we copy it over, skim through it, and then just quickly move to the next stage. This is the solution awareness stage. How aware is somebody of the problem and problems we solve and the solutions that we solve? Now, please use their problem solution awareness stage to list their top 10 pains related to this workshop, 50 total. So, when they're unaware, they don't know that they have a problem. They vaguely are dissatisfied with their growth, but they can't pinpoint the issue. They don't realize their messaging and ads are the bottleneck. This is when somebody's completely unaware, when somebody's problem aware. They realize their ads aren't performing, their content isn't converting, or something about their messaging is off. When somebody's solution aware, they know ads and copy are parts of the answer, but they feel overwhelmed, uncertain, burned by vague advice. Fourth is they're product aware. They are on the fence. They know about the workshop might help, but they're skeptical. And then most aware, they're warm leads, ready to buy, just need a sense of urgency, clarity and confirmation to move, right? So in the, for example, just problem aware bucket is, I'm not sure if it's the ad image, the copy, or the targeting, nothing is working. So this will be somebody who is already problem aware. My biggest pool of people is definitely with unaware, where I still need to position ads as an alternative to organic content creation, right, or as complementary. People always think either or, they are highly complementary, but that's just not how people think. So I need to kind of reach them where they are. Versus, very, very aware, they would just want to say something like, I want to run an ads this weekend. I need a fast way to get it done. Today, I was on a call with one of my mastermind members, and she literally has a workshop coming up her costs are great. She did another test balloon with kind of art styles and they didn't hit. So she was like, what else can I try, right? Because I need to fill up my workshop. Like, do you have any other ideas, right? So she's also a perfect customer for this ad workshop, but she's the smaller part of the audience. The bigger part of the audience is definitely up here in the unaware and the problem aware bucket, right? So this is also another angle to kind of think of, who am I talking to? Once you have created all of your angles, we are going to consolidate them, right? So you basically just copy everything into a Google Doc, and then you want to go through these, consolidate all the problems that seem relevant to you. And as you're consolidating, you're adding up more things. For example, I just went through each doc and I copy and pasted out what felt relevant. And I added things like, I want to feel excited to hit publishing on my ads, not anxious. I want to feel proud of my ads. I know that this is this kind of sense of ownership and pride when they've generated something beautiful. I know that that's a huge thing for my audience. Or I know I should be running ads is something that they say all the time, right? So basically compiled the ones that I like the most, and I tweaked them as well to really reflect how would I personally talk about this? Like, how would a real human being say this? And so these are all the consolidated and refined pain points that I basically found through the brainstorming generation in the prompts before. Okay, now let's bring it all together. I compiled problems that I found truly relevant. Please check them out and make a hypothesis about why I picked those. After, please revisit our conversation and remember the core of my opportunity. It's a workshop that shows coaches, course creators, personal brand, right? List your audience again, otherwise it will forget it. How to create better ads using ChatGPT to assist with copy, plus use the new image generation to create professional ad images. I will create a list of 10 distinct buying personas for my workshop. When creating buying personas, please ensure a decent audience size and they have urgent reasons to be highly motivated to sign up for the workshop, buy the replay, and take action. And then I just pasted all of the problems that I can solve with the workshop that I compiled that I find truly relevant to what I'm doing. All right, so then it came in with hypothesis why you chose these problems. I highly recommend that you're reading this because I think it's so insightful, right? So for me, I chose these problems because they have high emotional friction. These people care deeply about how they show up. They want to be proud of their work. They're blocked not by ideas, but by self-doubt, overwhelm, and overthinking. I'm like, yes, this is my audience, right? High standards, low confidence. This is my audience, right? They know they need ads, they believe in their offer, but they feel unqualified to present it in a way that feels professional, compelling, and ethical. Visual and vocal insecurity, they're not sure how the visuals show their message. Moral and messaging toning, many don't want to use hype or manipulation. So my audience, they want to sell with integrity, but they don't know how to do that persuasively. Creative chaos meet tech overwhelm. I have so many beautiful creative souls. And this is definitely for them, right? They dabbled into Canva and ChatGPT, but haven't cracked the code. The idea rich, but structure poor, excited, but frozen. This is so my audience, right? Especially now that we can do everything. They're like, I can do everything. What should I do and why, right? And I'm really good at giving them structure. And so for you, it will be very, very good to go in and read these again. Also because you then can articulate them. Ready to act, but blocked by the first step. That's so 100% true, which I also think this is why creating the actual ad with them and the copy with them in a way that they look at the copy and the ad and they're so proud of it and so excited to test it out. That's absolutely key for the workshop. All right, so then we have regrounding the offer. Your workshop isn't just about AI, copy, or visual. It's empowering high potential creators to finally show up in the market like the expert they are, with creative tools that help them express themselves clearly, beautifully, and confident. It teaches them how to write better ads using ChatGPT. It shows them how to use AI image generation to create on-brand, pro-looking visuals. It helps them launch ads as they actually believe in and feel excited about. So all of this is true. And then based on there, it made me 10 distinct buying personas, like the ethical driven coach that wants to sell soulfully without being pushy or fake. The visual vibe creator has taste but struggles to design scroll-stopping ads that actually sell. So all of these in here are really beautifully my buying personas. And like I said, very, very similar to the psychographics. Here I have multiple people that I've worked with in the past that are in my audience that I deeply appreciate, that I have helped, that are very, very similar to what's described in here. So that's kind of what you would want to have at this point. If you don't have that at this point, you want to go back and you want to say, here's what I'm not feeling, right? Or here's, I think, where you're off, or this is kind of throwing me off. I'm not able to put my finger on it. And it might be easier to just record yourself either with Loom and then paste the transcript, or you record yourself like directly in app, just giving ChatGPT your feedback. The key is that you want to have at least 2 to 3 buying personas where you're like, that really feels like my audience, right? You don't need 10. It's great if you can do it, but you want to have at least 2 to 3 that truly you look at and you're like, yes, I know this person and this is actually who I want to work with. And this, by the way, is the copywriting foundations that are minimum when you want to create a killer ad. This is the thinking you want to do, the brainstorming before you even put dollars behind something, right? So it needs to make sense. I teach people, for example, how to create a tangible strategic freebie and grow their email list and social media or YouTube at the same time using the lead generation campaign and a tangible strategic freebie. And even that we're reverse engineering from the offer that they want to sell. And I recently put out another video to help them kind of connect the dots. How do you pre-frame and prime and really make sure you are attracting the right type of person with the ad, right? And even if you're getting a low cost on the ad, or for example, the lead, or even if you're getting the sale, it's really about getting those type of people into your world that you can long-term support and help, right? And so you need to think about that for every single offer clearly. Over time, you'll get faster with it. You also develop more audience intelligence, more customer intelligence, and you build basically up your stock of buying personas, like you know already, so you can move a little bit quicker. But if you've been struggling with Facebook ads, and if you've been struggling to sell your offer, sit down and do this one time really, really sophisticatedly. So you can grab a coffee and just do it, but you also got to do it. Now that we have this and you have your list and your breakdown, we want to take it another step further. From the buying personas, we're going to create our ad angles. Okay, so now for our ad angles, we basically want to take a step back out of the complexity again. No, we generated a lot of data also just to prime the chat for this. And then we want to say, what extremely easy to understand ad angles can we take that do both? One, convey the new opportunity that my workshop represents. Two, addresses the struggles, faults, and frustrations of multiple buying personas, right? So we don't want to fragment this audience to a point where we just have micro audiences to target with the Facebook ads, because that will not be profitable. So we want to see like, where's the common threads, that where's the struggles that all of them have, right? So now basically we're consolidating it back up, and these are the angles it came up with for me. You don't need to be a copywriter or designer. You just need this workshop. Pain hit was, I want my ads to look and sound professional, but I don't know how. What if ChatGPT could help you? If your ads aren't working, it's not your offer, it's your image and copy. Very well on point. I know now because I've gone through the work before that, also very nuanced how I would articulate that. You'll walk away with an ad you're actually excited to launch. Yes. Make scroll-stopping ads without hiring a copywriter, designer, or manager. This is for the bootstrappers. Your offer is strong. Your ads just aren't saying it right yet. You can sell without being salesy if you know what to say and show. Really strong as well. Turn your big vision into a simple ad in under 90 minutes, etc. Then once you have all of those, you want to say, okay, what's the ad angle that I want to test next? What I really liked and what I hadn't thought about before was turn your big vision into one simple ad. I don't know how to distill my message into one simple ad. And that kind of goes back to what I also read there, where I was like immediately, oh yeah, that resonates. People's programs are so rich. They have so much depth. There's so much in their memberships, etc. They really struggle to convey that like in a single ad or with a single markup, etc. So I thought that for the sake of this video, this is the angle that I work out further with you. But know that I could do any of these. These are really all on point. So once you have an angle, like how do you work it from there? The next step, once you have your ad angles, is to create the actual ads. And with the new image generation, I think it's much easier to first create the ad and then write the copy. The ad itself, now based on this angle that I wanted to choose, is turn your big vision into one simple ad in under 90 minutes. The whole idea of this is that the problem is that I cannot convey like my vision and all the richness, everything of the programs in a simple ad. I'm doing all of those things to basically showcase what my ad is all about. And so I have this garden gnome, because these have been my ads. So if you check out ads library right now, you see my workshop ads have all been garden gnomes, just because I want to have a visual storyline that kind of stands out. So these are all the active ads that I currently have for the workshop with my garden gnomes. And I also wanted to show you how to be basically on brand, keep a consistent visual storyline right now. So here's how we came to this image. Now, specifically for my audience, what are sentences that we can use to illustrate this angle? Turn your big mission into one simple ad in under 90 minutes. It needs to be one specific scene. You can take inspiration from here. And here I have just a long kind of cheat sheet created for myself with transformational scenes. And then it basically picked some that it would think is suited for this transformation. So I went through them, right? Chaotic test, one published ad on a laptop, mirror reflection, coaching self-doubt versus their ad life. And then one that stuck out to me was the suitcase dump. Everything I was trying to say distilled into this one ad. A spilled suitcase with content ideas, frameworks, lead magnets next to it, one printed ad beautifully with approved stamp. So I was like, oh, the weight of doing all the things and being able to drop the weight of doing all of these things, right? Reels challenges and posting daily and having a posting schedule and a content calendar and don't know how do I communicate my offer clearly, right? If you can drop all of this weight of doing all of the things because you can clearly convey what you do in one ad, that would be amazing. And so then, thinking of my gnomes, I was going back and I want to say, okay, let's think this scene through. What would actually be on the visual? Think of all of the details. 9 suitcase dump, everything I was trying to say distilled into one ad. So it came up with this and basically was going with the scenes. I was reading it. I was gaining some ideas. Some I didn't like. So I said, I don't think this is describing the visual well. It needs to be a person dumping a backpack, letting go of the load now that they see one big, shiny, clear, perfect social media ad coming up on the horizon, right? So basically, once it spills out the ideas, and when you read it, you'll start to get like I start to get a little bit agitated. I'm like, no, this is not what it needs to be like. This is what it needs to be like, right? So it's kind of as a trigger response, it kind of gets out like, no, what are you thinking? Of course, it needs to be like that. And so with that, I basically get out from myself, like, what does the actual visual need to be like? Then it basically got back into it, and then I was uploading another ad visual of mine to basically now get this cohesive on-brand storyline style. So it was just uploading an image I created before. And then I said, I've had a consistent visual storyline with my Guru Garden Gnome ads, and this ad needs to be in the same style with the same characters. Here's an example. Then it was like, perfect, this is the visual language, concept title. So I was going into all of these fancy things. Again, I just read it and completely ignored it. And then I said, okay, so I would like you to generate the image. It's my Guru gnome with his Hawaii shirt and his chain and his sunglasses who is facing the sun, right? So where does it look? It already has all the style and the details for the character from this. We are looking at his backpack with all the stuff. The content calendar, the 30 days reel challenge, the sticky notes about daily posting, all of the content creation overwhelm, the how do I communicate my offer clearly workbook. And he's just in the process of dropping it, staring amazed at the sun that is coming out, but the sun is one perfect social media ad. The one ad that finally conveys his vision. It looks like a social media ad, has the text sponsored on it and reaction emojis, and it says the one ad that finally conveys your vision. So this is what I came up with, and I felt like, okay, this is already pretty strong. I tried to basically refine how these elements look like, and I definitely wanted to have a square image, right? So I was just saying, let's just use a square image that it ignored. And the content calendar and 30 days of posting, etc., need to stick out of his backpack. It needs to pop open. The how do I communicate my offer is an actual workbook, not just cheats. And it's laying on the ground because it fell out of his backpack. Then it made this, and then this is a perfect. Now please just make the image in a square format. And then basically this is where we landed. I also tried it to have it dropping it differently, but I think like this starstruck kind of setup was working the best. These then, they kind of came too far away from it. I also really like this one, the one ad that finally conveys your vision. Post daily, go live, calendar, content, how do I clearly communicate my offer? So I probably also will test this one as well. The one ad that finally conveys your vision. Emojis are clear enough, right? So I could prompt it to clear up the reaction emojis. And really, this is how you basically edit the ads, right? So that before this type of image generation on here, it was not able to do this at all. From there, you now have your ad visual. So what do you do next? Next, you write your copy. And I still highly encourage you to actually write your copy. The copy that I've written here, I basically made sure with the first line that I'm reiterating the visual hook, right? And also clarifying it a little bit. So I said, drop everything, I'm serious, right? Because I think in this image, it's not so clear that he dropped the image, but when I say drop everything, the association is there, right? And it starts to make sense. This is also why we need to generate the image first, because we cannot make it perfect, right? And the copy is kind of a way to correct that and make it feel overall like super cohesive. Okay, so my copy was drop everything, I'm serious. If you're a coach, course creator, school, or membership owner, and you're tired of doing all the things on social media to get attention, because up until now it has been too hard to convey the depth, richness, and transformation of your offerings in a single ad, then just know that ChatGPT just has changed the game for us forever. With its new image generation capabilities, you can now capture your vision in a single ad. You can generate text, every style, any image. It's truly mind-blowing. A bit scary, but also incredible, right? Now, here's the thing, there is a catch. If you didn't understand copywriting before ChatGPT, the tool and even the image generation won't help you. So let me make you an offer. If you love the idea of empowering yourself to finally learning how to write and run ads, then sign up for my upcoming workshop. You can watch live or catch a replay for 48 hours. I teach you the copywriting foundations you need to run ads. This is my background. I spent over 1.5 million on ads and generated over 66,000 customers. I also show you how to use the new image gen, how I set up my ads. Then you follow along and you try it yourself. In this workshop, you'll use AI to turn your ideas into clean, clear, compelling ads fast. Sign up on this page. It has the link to the free sign up, and also you can purchase the replay right now for $3 in pre-sale. What are you waiting for? Get better at ads now. And that's the copy itself that I basically then have handwritten, right? Tailored, like super old fashioned, because I didn't want to waste time with the ChatGPT. I find that once you have the image, then you would want to, really, really tie it back to that. And again, it's the best if you try to think it through. Now, one thing that you really need to pay attention to, whether you're writing your ads yourself, and especially if you're getting it out of AI, is you need to make sure you check it for compliance. So for example, in my ad copy, I have a statement that I've generated, or that I've spent over 1.5 million on ads and generated over 66,000 customers. I need to be able to substantiate that, right? And with a software like, for example, Complyly, you can have your ad checked if it's compliant, and then if something needs substantiation, you can upload it there directly in the ad. ChatGPT, when you just generate your copy there, or with any of those copywriting tools, very often it will say things that are not compliant. And that's really my pet peeve also with why I haven't been so vocal about using AI to write your ad copy before, because it just can open a whole can of worms if you're not aware of these things, right? Either your ad doesn't convert at all, or it doesn't bring the right people, or it actually can get you into trouble because what you're saying is not compliant, right? It has been trained on the data from the internet, so not all of that, unfortunately, has been compliant. Now, the next step, all you have to do is test it. And I like to use an Advantage Plus campaign, because now most of ad accounts are transferred to Advantage Plus campaign. And we're basically going to include now a quick rundown of how I'm setting up the campaign in the video here now. All right, now that we have our ad creative and copy, it's time to set up our ad. So I'm heading to Ads Manager, and the best test setup is to actually single them out and give them decent budget for 72 hours. So this is how I like to test them. I like to do sales campaign. Because this is for a paid offer, right? So I typically work with leads or sales. Because this is leading to a paid offer, I need to select sales. And now you can see that the Advantage Plus overall setup has already been rolled out on my account. So I can't select an Advantage Plus shopping campaign anymore. I'm already going with Advantage Plus default. So I'd like to name this after the image itself. So this is Gnome's Drop. And now the testing budget, I recommend to spend the minimum one time what your offer costs per day. So my offer is $3 because it's just a replay, but I want to go way more aggressively, right? Also because I'm using the workshop also to open the doors for my Growth Evelyn membership, right? So I typically test between $50 to $100 a day. And so here I just want to go with 100 euros per day. I'm doing the campaign budget optimization next. Now we have our ad set level. So I don't have to restrict by age and gender, which I would do under here for the limit your reach. So all I have to do is do my location-based targeting. And I like to do the top 4, which is United States, Canada, Australia, and United Kingdom. Now I can basically remove Austria from here. I don't do any other restrictions. And now I'm here in the ad setup. I'm just going to name this drop after the scene, and I need to select my profile. Now I am setting up the ad. The destination is this school URL. When you work with school, always make sure to directly go to the About page, otherwise it redirects. And then non-selecting on the call, otherwise it gives a mistake. Uncheck multi-advertiser. And now I want to already go into a creative setup, add the image. So here it will pull the different pages from school. And basically, if you don't remove these side links, you're advertising for others. So as much as I love my fellow schoolers, I don't want to do that with my budget. So I'm removing all of the side links. Now in the media is where we upload our image. So I just quickly need to download it, pull it in here, next. And then I typically have just a square format in here. It's good enough for testing, right? If your ad is really strong, then you definitely get away with the square format. This is my main text now. Just making sure that the spacing is correct. And now I have workshop. And I typically like to do new with a fire. New actually works better for me than free. New workshop, create better ads with AI. I think I just want to leave it at that. Don't need the image generation. It's funny though what it brings up. And then the text improvements is something I want to put off. Now this is all here. I use learn more as the call to action, and then I publish this. And this is how quickly you have your ad set up. Let me see what errors it gave me. I deselected my data set. I want to optimize for purchase here. Then very often you actually have to reload to see that it's processing. Now it's processing, and very soon the ad will go live. All right, so this is the full setup of how you can create a killer Facebook ad using ChatGPT and its new image generation. If you want to learn more about ads, I mentioned a video about the lead generation ad and how I basically provided training on how to make those convert higher. We're going to link it somewhere here. Thank you so much for checking it out, and I see you in another one.